My fiancée is dead. She's been dead for 3 weeks. How is she calling me? The rain was coming down in sheets, wind snatching at the neon signs, casting their reflections in the puddles on the sidewalk below. Daniel hurried through the deluge, pulling his collar tighter against the chill. He fished his phone out of his pocket, checking it again. Missed call from unknown number. He knew that number. It was Maya's, his fiancée, the love of his life, the girl whose face had been plastered across every newspaper in the city, not because of who she was, but because of how she died. Hit and run. 3 weeks ago today, they had been laughing, sharing a bottle of wine, planning their future. And then she'd gone out for a late-night snack, just a quick trip to the corner store, and never come back. They found her a block away from home, lying in the gutter, lifeless, her phone clutched in her hand. The screen cracked, mirroring the fractured state of Daniel's heart. He hadn't wanted to go to the police, not at first. He'd thought maybe it was just a crazy driver, some jerk who'd panicked and run off. But the days passed and still, there were no witnesses, no leads, just the incessant dripping of the leaky faucet in his sink, mocking him with its relentless rhythm. He felt like a broken record, stuck in the same groove, the same horrifying refrain playing on repeat in his mind. The day they buried her, he'd placed her phone in her coffin, 6 feet under. So why was it now ringing from the grave? Daniel fumbled with his keys, unlocking the door to his apartment. The windows were dark, empty sockets, staring back at him. He flicked on the overhead light, the harsh illumination doing little to dispel the oppressive gloom that had settled in his bones. On the counter, amidst the clutter of takeout containers and half-empty coffee mugs, sat her phone, the screen flashing with another missed call. Hesitantly, he picked it up, turning it over in his hands like a talisman. The caller ID displayed Maya's name, her smiling face framed by the halo of her long, flowing hair. He pressed play. The message was garbled, distorted, like an old record skipping on a scratched track. But one phrase cut through the static, clear as a shard of glass. Don't trust the man in the mirror. Then the line went dead. He dismissed it as a prank, a cruel joke played by some bored teenagers. But that night, as he lay in bed, the silence was shattered by the insistent buzzing of his phone. Startled awake, he saw the caller ID. It was Maya. He hesitated, his finger hovering over the phone like a lifeline in a sea of despair. Was this real, or was it just another figment of his grief-addled imagination? As he slipped deeper into his delusion, he began to notice strange things. The reflection in the mirror didn't match his movements. When he would turn to leave the bathroom, the reflection would stare straight ahead. Unfazed, he'd wake in the night to find objects moved, the room subtly rearranged, as if by an unseen hand. And then there was the music. Soft, lilting melody that seemed to emanate from nowhere and everywhere at once. It was Maya's favorite song. He found old photos, their smiling faces staring back, oblivious to the lurking presence in the background. A tall, dark silhouette with an unnatural stillness about it, like a specter haunting their joy. And then it hit him, the chilling realization that turned his blood to ice. That figure, it was him. But how could it be? He had those same thoughts. One night, he stayed up, watching, waiting. He recorded himself sleeping, the phone propped up beside him, capturing his slumbering form. When he awoke, he saw the playback. There he was, his eyes closed, mouth slightly open, breathing softly. And beside him, standing over him, was a dark figure, its face obscured by the shadows. Then he started getting calls. Real calls, not from unknown numbers, but from her number. Her voice, distorted, a whisper lost in the wind, saying, it wasn't an accident. But when he reached out to answer, it was always too late. The call went to voicemail. Daniel stood frozen, the phone slipping from his grasp, clattering to the floor. His eyes, wide with dawning horror, stared straight ahead. The truth, like a shard of glass, pierced his soul. The world tilted on its axis. The mirror behind him, it wasn't just reflecting him, it was showing him what was always there, what he'd been all along. He was the ghost, trapped in a loop, doomed to wander the halls of his apartment, a prisoner of his own demise, forever searching for answers in the cold, unfeeling glass. A single tear traced a path down his cheek, a lone streak in the darkness. The phone buzzed again, another missed call from Maya's number. Daniel turned slowly, his gaze locked on the mirror. In the dim reflection, he saw himself reach out, his fingers spidery, his eyes vacant and hollow. For a moment, their eyes met, or rather, he saw the absence of eyes where there should have been none. And then the screen went black. Now, you'll never escape. Not while I'm here. The mirror behind him cracked, spiderwebbing from the center outward. A single shard fell, glinting in the dim light. It was the only sound in the silence, the only witness to the truth. There was one last missed call notification on his phone. It wasn't from Maya, it was from him.